Welcome to Loc 300, Selecting a Translator. Let's say you have the goal of reaching 1 billion people with your products and services because you want to create value in as many people's lives as possible. You want to engage with people using language and imagery that will resonate and appeal to both their minds and their hearts. When the people you are trying to reach are multicultural, that means speaking to them in their mother languages. That said, to reach a multicultural audience, you'll need translation and localization. Localization is the act of taking the design, packaging, and language that come together to form a product created for one cultural group and gearing that product toward another audience with unique cultural characteristics. From a big picture perspective, the audience can be determined by ideas about a culture that are regional. Depending on the purpose of your products, you'll likely need to be much more specific than to just name the region that your audience comes from. You don't just want to name the country they come from, for instance. More specific definitions of audience can include a group of people's line of work, their interests, the goals they want to accomplish, and therefore their needs. During localization, the design and the language are adapted so that a product has the look and the feel that your new audience expects. Localization can include incorporating new graphical elements and making changes to the layout of the user interface, making everything operate underneath the hood. The goal, of course, is to ensure usability and functionality and create a positive experience. Translation happens during localization. Translation is the act of taking a message conveyed in one language and forming that message in another language. Translation entails identifying the key words that a specific audience uses to talk about a subject and using those words, identifying their style and matching that style. Translation also entails identifying concepts from one language that don't have a clear equivalent in another language. Once identified, translation is about finding unique ways to get that part of the message across through product naming, language invention, and thoughtful explanations. This means that a translation is not simply a copy of a text in another language. It also means that accuracy in translation is highly contextual. That's why if you care about your messaging, you want to make a strategic selection when deciding who will form your message in another language. In this course, we're not going to talk about how to select a team of designers and engineers to carry out the localization piece of this task of building products that speak to a specific group of people who share the same language, though clearly that's important. And after taking this class, you'll be able to draw upon lessons learned here anyway to make a variety of hires as you build your team. We'll only slightly cover selecting automatic translators like Google and ChatGPT, though in the case of professional translation, you'd want a qualified human helping you to make those types of selections and to improve upon the automatic translation too. In Loc 300, we answer specifically, how can you strategically select a translator, a human one? And it's funny that technological development makes it so that we have to distinguish between work by humans and work by machines. Being human is, of course, a prerequisite, but when selecting a translator, you're going to want to look for much more specific abilities. The translator needs to know the language of the message you would like to translate, known by industry insiders as the source language, the language into which you would like to have your message translated, known by insiders as the target language, the specific subjects of your message in both the source and target language, how to communicate your intent with the specific audience of your message, how to do the work of translation. Being bilingual does not automatically constitute the ability to do translation, though with study and training, translation can be an emergent ability of being bilingual or multilingual. How to follow translation workflows in collaboration with international teams. The translator needs to know how to use any required technologies, how to use specifications, that is, how to collect the work requirements that will allow them to deliver on your desired outcomes. Your translator also needs to have sound business practices, such as any licenses and documentation, and the ability to keep your intellectual property organized and protected. Indicators that a translator has these professional proficiencies include lived experiences, professional work in an area, studies and degrees obtained, and membership in professional and affinity organizations. If you decide to work with a language service company instead of building your own team of translators, know that this company will likely subcontract your work to freelance translators. In such a case, check how the company selects your translators and make sure that the translators have the required proficiencies. You'll also want to know whether a dedicated team of translators will be assigned to produce your message and how the company will ensure that you have a unique brand voice when they are working with external contractors to procure your translations. You'll learn both about selecting individuals and agencies in this course. At the end, you'll learn that our recommendation would be to just hire in-house. I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Localization and translation are activities that can allow you to better connect with audiences internationally, but also with the international audiences who live together in a single region. Take the United States, for example. Just because English is the lingua franca of the US does not mean that producing content in English will allow you to really connect with the minds and hearts of all of the multicultural people who have made their homes in the United States. The frameworks you learn in this course about selecting translators with purpose apply whether you're reaching across borders or working within them. If you're interested in learning more about selecting a translator, you're, of course, cordially invited to take our Loc 300 course. Visit loc300.locessentials.com to learn more about selecting between human and automatic translation, conveying needs and understanding quality through translation labels. You'll also find a translator checklist and an agency scorecard that will help you to choose your translators wisely. If you have questions or comments about the recommendations we make in our course, please contact us at info@locessentials.com. Thanks so much. I hope this helps.